This is a brief video just covering some sample templates for writing your representatives about gun ban, gun owner registration, and related acts or policies that are currently being discussed at the federal level. This is something I do pretty regularly. I generally use both email and printed letters. Sometimes I'll get on the phone. And I want to point out that this is a valid action. A few years ago I spoke to a young lady who worked in the office of the congressman for my district. And she said, of course, every week some letters and phone calls will trickle in, but only on really heated issues would they become inundated. In her words, to paraphrase, if they got 100 letters or 100 phone calls, within a few days, that really got their attention and almost caused a bit of a panic because, sadly, the majority of the public do not hold their representatives accountable. They don't check the voting record. They don't get on the phone or write letters to let these people know what they expect from them. So this is a valid option. It's at least one step. It doesn't take much effort, and there's really no excuse. If you care about this issue, there's no excuse for not taking this step. I'm fortunate. I live in Tennessee. It's a gun culture state, but even here, I have to wonder if my governor will do the right thing and stand on the 10th Amendment and nullify an unlawful act at the federal level, or if he'll just roll over. I know where my state lawmakers stand. I certainly know where my sheriff's department stands on the issue. As far as the federal representatives, the congressmen and the senators, they've always been very pro-Second Amendment, but it's just difficult to say, so we don't want to take anything for granted. So I'll just scroll through a few of the templates. I am a professional writer, but these are not literature. These are very simple, less than a full page in some cases. So I'm going to start with what I sent the congressman from my district, and I'll just scroll through it. Just keep it simple. Address it to them. This occurs in all the templates. I just, pointed out the Feinstein proposal and some of the rhetoric about executive or ATF action to bypass Congress, and made a few comments about how these propositions are an affront to the freedoms for which our founders fought and died. And I'll just scroll down and let you kind of look at it. I did include a statement of non-compliance in every one of these letters. Now, this may be perceived as radical by some people, but it's the truth in this case. There are thousands of gun owners in your district alone who have no intention of complying with any such unlawful demands made by the federal government. We will not turn in our weapons, and we will not be registered like criminals for exercising our right to bear arms. And of course I close, please do the right thing and protect our rights at the congressional level. And then I also put a little reminder about what happened in Australia. Thousands of police and thousands of civilians died in the year following the gun ban in Australia because people didn't give up their guns. You don't hear a lot about that in the media, but you can research it. Those people fought and bled. No doubt, unfortunately, the same thing will happen here, and that's what we want to avoid. So, in closing, sincerely, my full name. And when you fill out the email, you'll have to put in your name, your address, your phone number. Go ahead and do that. Don't be anonymous. Don't be afraid to let these people know who you are. And if this were a print letter, I would go ahead and include my address, right here. I would go ahead and put my address down here so that, again, just, not to be anonymous. And I'll show you the one I sent to my senator. This guy has actually been very supportive of gun owners in the Second Amendment, so, I commended him on that. And then again, I just brought up the Feinstein proposal and some of the other things being discussed. Same language you saw in the other one. A little bit of rhetoric about how we're at a critical crossroads in the history of our country. And then again, a statement of noncompliance. Tens of thousands of Tennesseans at least will not comply with any unconstitutional efforts towards disarmament. This is important. It's not a threat. It's not violent. But, are you going to give your guns up? Are you going to go down to the ATF and register like some kind of criminal just because they passed this ridiculous federal bill? I certainly hope not. I certainly hope not. I certainly hope you're not going to hand in your firearms on some forced buyback program. But you can see basically the same language. And then the one to the governor was a little different. Sorry, I should have started at the top there. On the campaign trail, you made many statements in support of gun owners' rights, the Second Amendment, etc. Again, brought up the Feinstein bill, the issue that I'm addressing him about. In the case of my governor, I brought up the 10th Amendment. I would remind you, sir, of your responsibility to stand on the 10th Amendment and thus protect your constituents from unconstitutional federal actions. You have the power to nullify any outrageous federal actions that violate the Second Amendment, and I assure you gun owners in your state expect nothing less. Sorry, I'm stammering a little bit, guys. Just trying to make a quick video before I head out the door. Also, again, do some research in your state. This comes from some Tennessee legislation. I said I would further point out that in 2009, this is really cool in Tennessee, Tennessee legislature passed a bill making it unlawful for the federal government to confiscate firearms within Tennessee's borders. So I know where our lawmakers stand. I know where a lot of the law enforcement officers in my state stand. That doesn't mean the federal government cares. It's just good to know where they stand. If you live in a state that's anti-gun, my heart goes out to you, but you need to harangue your representatives anyway. And I included a little piece of my state's constitution. And remember, you know, as governor, your state governor has taken an oath to preserve and defend the Constitution of your state. So I put a little clip in here from my Constitution. That government being instituted for the common benefit, the doctrine of non-resistance against arbitrary power and oppression is absurd, slavish, and destructive of the good and happiness of mankind. It's one of the favorite. It's from Article 1, Section 2 of the Tennessee Constitution. And again, I put in the little statement of non-compliance that, you know what, tens of thousands, and that's probably at a minimum. There are about 240,000 registered gun owners in my state. I'd say it's well over 300,000, maybe even 500,000 actual gun owners, because a lot of us just buy guns at gun shows or yard sales. It's totally and perfectly legal in Tennessee for me to sell my neighbor a gun. I buy a lot of my guns over the counter, but I also buy them from individuals. So, I mean, I would say a couple of 100,000 people at minimum in Tennessee who will not give their guns up and will not go to be registered. And I'm letting our governor know this. That's some important information. Again, I'm not making a threat. I'm not talking radical. I apologize if this seems radical to some viewers, but it's no more radical than what our founders did when they made the Declaration of Independence, or what my state founders did when they put in the doctrine of non-resistance. Okay, and then, you know, just in closing, basically just, you know, I know this will be a difficult time for you, but we're counting on you to make the right choices and stand up for the rights of gun owners throughout the state of Tennessee is what that should say. I'll actually edit that in a minute before I send it. And again, on the printed version, I will include my address here. So that's about it. You know, a lot of people will probably comment and say it's pointless to do this. It is not pointless, especially at the state level, especially at the congressional level, because those people need your votes. You know, there are elements within the federal government who have made up their mind and frankly don't care, but there are 311,600,000 Americans. We have a power beyond what most people can conceive, and it's called non-compliance, and you know, it just comes down to that and putting pressure on your representatives. So I hope a few of you will take this seriously. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.